This is Goku-san, DBZ, and welcome back to part 2 of Top 50 Animated Films of All Time. As I said before, this is based on overall, including both musical, non-musical, of course. Also includes CGI films, as well as Japanese animation. If it's animated, it qualifies. Now, in order to get on here, it has to be at least a certain amount of influential on pop culture as a whole, or whether it be worldwide or that individual country. Also, the majority looking at films of quality. And most of these films, in order to make this list, have to have had a decent reign among both critics and audiences both. So they have to keep these into account with the list. And of course, these aren't my specific favorites. My list is a little different, and I've already done lists involving my own personal favorites. So, with that said, first we'll go to, of course, some honorable mentions. Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, Titan AE, Pokemon 2000, All Dogs Go to Heaven, An American Tail, Street Fighter II, the anime movie, Pocahontas, Gundam Wing, Endless Waltz, Metropolis, Sting Boy, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, The Rescuers Down Under. Coming in at number 25. This film was produced from Pixar, and it was released originally in 2003. Definitely has become one of the most popular Pixar films, and it was successful among both audiences and critics alike. And did pretty hefty at the box office too. But it's definitely one of the higher regarded Pixar films out there, outside of the Toy Story series. And coming in at 25 is Finding Nemo. Coming in at 24 is definitely perhaps the most important animated film, because this was the first ever full-length, full animated feature film on the big screen. This film was released in 1937, which this film was produced and would become the first of course, a very successful series of animated films from the Walt Disney Company. This would be Walt Disney's very first ever animated movie, and to this day is very highly regarded, and that is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Coming in at number 23, released in 1978. This film, based off of a classic work, of course, from J.R.R. Tolkien. And of course, in the 2000s, we would get live-action adaptation of this film. But coming at 23 is The Lord of the Rings, the animated movie from the 70s. Yep, some people out there that never really were too big into Lord of the Rings probably doesn't realize there was actually an animated film released in the 70s, Lord of the Rings, as well as Return of the King, but Two Towers was never produced into an animated film, but they also did The Hobbit, of course. Coming in at number 22, released in 2001. This would be the first of 4 main films in the franchise and like 1 or 2 spin-off films. And that is Shrek from DreamWorks. Yep, Shrek comes in at number 22. Great film, incredible. Well, not incredible, but it's a good laughter film, good for families. And Mike Myers does a good job as Shrek, and of course Eddie Murphy as Donkey, obviously. Became really a signature of that series, was Eddie Murphy's Donkey, and it also really increased and helped Eddie Murphy to become a huge, of course, animated voice actor other than his work a few years prior to Mushu in Mulan. Coming in at number 21 is a highly regarded anime film, but can be a little creepy for smaller kids, because this was produced in the 80s, 1982. But it's highly regarded, and in fact, Nostalgia Critic has this ranked, I believe, his number one favorite anime film of all time. This is, I've personally only seen this film once, and it's been a while since I've seen it. I need to try to see if it's on Hulu or somewhere and rewatch it. And that is the highly regarded, with one heck of a cult following. Number 21 is The Secret of NIMH. Coming in at number 20 is, a lot of people would say, is one of the most overrated, only because they got kind of burnt out on the signature song for the movie, Let It Go. So obviously now you know number 20, released in 2013. It's the largest box office anime film of all time, with $1.2 billion for Disney Company. It'd be the first anime film in several years, and that is Frozen. Comes in at number 20. Coming in at number 19. Highly regarded film, would get around like a 1997-1998 release date, English dubbed. Originally released in Japan in 1989 from Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki. Coming at number 19 is Kiki's Delivery Service, which is definitely a very high regarded film. It was the very first Miyazaki film, Studio Ghibli film I personally ever watched. And there's some magical about that film, no pun intended. It's just, the story is enjoyable, the animation is good, given we're talking 89, so the animation is actually aged pretty decent. And it does have that traditional Miyazaki look and style to it and feel. On the emotional side, and that there's a deeper meaning in the film. That's one thing I have to praise Miyazaki films about, is quality over quantity. That is what makes Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki films so special. Coming in at number 18. One of the most underrated anime musicals from Disney. And one of the darkest, I might add. Though it'd been a little less, it'd been probably a little bit better had it not been for the gargoyles. Coming at number 18 from Walt Disney Company, released in 1996, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, or Notre Dame, however you want to pronounce it. Coming in at number 17, another Studio Ghibli film, and Miyazaki, released in 2004. The English dubbing of this particular character in the film would be done by Christian Bale. And that is, coming in number 17, Howl's Moving Castle, another classic modern film from Miyazaki. Coming in at number 16, released in 1999, and would be the first actual sequel from the Pixar company, and would be a sequel to their first Pixar film ever done. And coming in number 16 is Toy Story 2, with an insane 100% on Rotten Tomatoes among movie critics. That's insane to think about. Coming in at number 15, released also from Studio Ghibli. This film would actually end up getting released just a couple years later. Some people regard this film as the Star Wars of anime, though it's not science fiction. But it's great, and it has a very strong message about environmental issues and keeping in balance with nature. And that is coming in at number 15, Princess Mononoke, another classic Studio Ghibli film. Coming in at number 14 was released in 1992 from the Walt Disney Company, and would star the late, great Robin Williams. Coming in at number 14, Aladdin, which is definitely a good top-of-the-line anime musical, period. Coming in at number 13. This film isn't exactly a super highly... This film was a failure among movie critics, but IANSys, it has a pretty decent rating. And it was the first. This was released at its peak in popularity in 1999. Coming in at number 13 is Pokemon the first movie. And that's because, look at the Juggernaut franchise Pokemon has become. The quality of their anime films have gone downhill majorly. And really, only 3 of their anime films ever made it to actual box office here in America. The first movie, 2000, and the third movie. But of course, this would be the introduction to the character Mewtwo. Coming in at number... Plus, I can't forget that stupid cheesy line when Team Rocket was dressed up as Vikings. And Misty said, I didn't think there were any Vikings still. And Ash says, they must be from Minnesota. That's pretty cheesy. Let's be honest, that's just flat out cheesy. Coming in at number 12. Another beloved anime musical from, of course, the highly regarded Walt Disney Company. Coming in at number 12, released in 1989, would be the beginning of the Renaissance for Disney, under Michael Eisner at that time. And that is, at number 12, The Little Mermaid, another classic, highly regarded film from the company. Coming at number 11 is easily maybe the best anime musical not done by the Disney Company at all, which is interesting. Coming in at number 11, released in 1998 from DreamWorks, The Prince of Egypt. And yeah, this film is incredible, so highly underrated, and I don't understand it myself because the film, the quality is top-notch. I will never understand why this film is not more highly regarded than it is. I will never understand it personally myself. Coming in at number 10, released in 1986, the only good Transformer movie, period. That's right. And number 10 is the Transformers, or rather, yeah, the Transformers, the movie. And of course, the voice of Galvatron would be done by the late, great Leonard Nimoy. And such a good film. And the soundtrack is awesome too, I might add. Yeah, those Michael Bay movies, they don't even exist, okay? They just don't exist. Coming in at number 9 is the only movie from this franchise, and it's the most highly regarded of all, like, 17 anime movies. At number 9, released in 1990 in Japan, Dragon Ball Z, The Tree of Might. The Tree of Might is regarded by most Dragon Ball Z fans as the greatest movie ever done in that series. Some people would go with probably, though, the very first one, of course, that being Dead Zone, but overall quality and stuff, and how it's aged many years later, this is the film that is usually more mentioned than any of the other Dragon Ball Z series. And given how massive Dragon Ball Z is still to this very day, especially thanks to Super now being out, this will go down from, of course, the biggest anime franchise of all time. Coming in at number 8, released in 1993, this is probably regarded, of course, by Siskel and Ebert as, in their opinion at the time, the greatest animated film ever produced based off of a comic book. And that is Batman, The Mask of the Phantasm. Comes in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is a amazing film because it's revolutionary, because it's so many different feel and atmosphere, because it's like a bunch of like little mini movies and stuff. It's just cool to tell the universe of the Matrix. So obviously now you know. Coming at number 7, released in 2003 from New Line Cinema, The Animatrix. Coming in at number 6. Released in 1988 in Japan. This would be the first Studio Ghibli film that would be, I believe, pretty much would establish them as a company. However, this film is not a Miyazaki film, even though it's done by Studio Ghibli. This film will get you to go to tears. It's about the only animated film I've ever seen that will seriously get to you emotionally. Coming at number 6 is Grave of the Fireflies, which is a highly underrated, very incredible piece of art. Hands down, I recommend, if you've never seen it, check it out. Coming in number 5 is another highly regarded anime film, and it definitely was revolutionary for its time, released in 1988. And it is simply known as Akira. Comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, another Walt Disney animated film musical, which of course just had a live action adaptation this very year. Very first of 3 animated films to be nominated for Oscar. Only 3 animated films, note, to ever be nominated for an Oscar. Well, I'll mention the others, but this is the first. And as I said, it is number 4 is Beauty and the Beast. Coming in at number 3 is the second ever nominated animated film, and the very first film 3D full-length animated movie, and of course produced by Pixar. Coming at number 3 is Toy Story, which was of course released in 1995, hard to believe. Toy Story is 22 years old. Coming in at number 2 is the third animated film to ever be nominated for the Oscar, and the only one of the 3 films to actually win for Best Picture before they decided to create Best Animated Picture creation, just so animated films are never nominated again for Best Picture of the Year, which is bullcrap if you ask me. Coming, and it was released in 2002 from Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki. This is perhaps regarded as his greatest crowning jewel of all the masterpieces he has created, and this is special since it did win Best Picture at the Oscars. And that is Spirited Away, comes in at number 2. So, any surprise? And here it is, 1 through 2, or rather 50, before I announce number 1. Number 50, Kung Fu Panda. Number 49, Coraline. Number 48, Fantasia. 47, A Bug's Life. 46, Anastasia. 45, Monsters Inc. 44, Castle in the Sky. 43, Tangled. 42, Princess and the Frog. 41, Mulan. 40, Shrek 2. 39, Inside Out. Number 38, Wreck-It Ralph. Number 37, The Incredibles. Number 36, Tarzan. Number 35, My Neighbor Totoro. Number 34, Kubo and the Two Strings. Number 33, Ghost in the Shell. Number 32, Toy Story 3. Number 31, The Iron Giant. Number 30, 101 Dalmatians. Number 29, How to Train Your Dragon. Number 28, Whisper of the Heart. Number 27, Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Number 26, The Nightmare Before Christmas. 25, Finding Nemo. 24, Snow and the Seven Dwarfs. 23, The Lord of the Rings. 22, Shrek. 21, Secret of NIMH. 20, Frozen. 19, Kiki's Delivery Service. 18, Hunchback of Notre Dame. 17, Howl's Moving Castle. 16, Toy Story 2. 15, Princess Mononoke. 14, Aladdin. 13, Pokemon the First Movie. 12, The Little Mermaid. 11, Prince of Egypt. 10, The Transformers the Movie. 9, Dragon Ball Z, The Tree of Might. 8, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. 7, The Animatrix. 6, Grave of the Fireflies. 5, Akira. 4, Beauty and the Beast. 3, Toy Story. 2, Spirited Away. Number 1, released in 1998, is most highly regarded anime film of all time. largest grossing animated film of all time, 2D animation. Highly regarded state, with great voice actors like James Earl Jones, Michael Irons, or whatever, as well as, of course, Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Coming in at number 1, The Lion King. Was there any doubt Lion King would be number 1? I think not. And I'll see you next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.